Greetings everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Musashi X Chronicles. I am Musashi X, here to bring you the wonders of great and not so great gaming, from the older generation to the current, and from the more mainstream to the more obscure. With that said, let's kick things off with a simple genre, fighting games. Fight one-on-one against a computer opponent, or a player opponent, with your favorite character, beat the living heck out of each other, and achieve total victory. It could be something like Street Fighter or Tekken, just to name a few. But what happens if you fight in an open world environment and you don't have to input certain commands? You could just go hardcore on anybody in your way. Well, this is what this game is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my review of Ehrgeiz, God Bless the Ring for the PS1.
It first launched in the arcade sometime in 1998, made by Dream Factory, the makers of the Tobal series, and a collaboration of both Namco and Square-Enix. Yes, I know they're called Squaresoft at the time, but we're in 2017, so I'm gonna call it as such, so don't judge. But in all seriousness, Namco and Square-Enix making a game? Sure, it's common nowadays for contrasting companies to work together into making entirely new games, such as Cross-Edge or Project Cross Zone 1 and 2. But that's rather rare for both of these major companies teaming together to make this game, especially when Square-Enix is one company that likely has the least amount of company collaborations, with their most recent being Koei Tecmo's division, Team Ninja, creating Dissidia Final Fantasy Arcade, which I've only seen videos as it hasn't been released worldwide as of yet. Ehrgeiz was ported to the PlayStation 1 on April the following year, with Square-Enix having full control, but I'd never heard of this game until a short review of it was shown during Cartoon Network's Afternoon Toonami block. At first I thought it looked interesting, but thought of nothing else, because it was around the time when I was still playing other PlayStation 1 titles such as Buster Room 99, Mega Man Legends 1, or Spyro the Dragon, as well as getting into Pokemon Generation 1. However, during my visit to a pawn shop in 2000, I was able to get the game, tried it out, and my interest for the game rose up. Unlike most 3D fighting games, the gameplay of Ehrgeiz is heavily inspired from the concepts of wrestling games like most early WWE games, in conjunction with the fighting engine copied straight from Tobal, allowing for a 360-degree movement and without the need to have fighters be facing one another at all times. The camera is in a fixed position, zooming in and out with the action, but not tracking around the playing field as it would be common during the days of the Neo Geo. The fast-paced fighting allows for characters to move freely in a three-dimensional stage which is filled with many interactive objects and changes in elevation, enabling players to use crates as weapons, pick up items, or use the terrain for unorthodox moves inspired by the hardcore nature of the now defunct ECW. You have your standard punch and kick buttons, but because of the 3D nature of the game, you also have your own jump and guard buttons, but there's also a button for your special attack. Depending on the character, it can be either a projectile or a damaging close-range attack. Performing a special will drain the ping meter below your HP meter, and it can be further drained if you hold the button long enough for a powerful special attack, though I wouldn't recommend doing it often as it will leave you wide open for an attack. 11 characters are initially available from the start, with 6 more as unlockables, and they do bring unique attacks to the table. Whether it be the freelance mercenary God Hand, with a rifle hidden within his prosthetic right arm, Joe with her wolf transformation, Han with his cybernetic right leg that doubles as an RPG launcher, or Yoko, who fights with a yo-yo of all weapons. Perhaps the most noteworthy feature of the game is the inclusion of characters from Final Fantasy VII. This game, in terms of appearances of Final Fantasy characters showing up in a fighting game, predates the Dissidia games. Cloud, Strife, and Tifa Lockhart first appeared in the arcade version as computer opponents under the names Guardian and Summoner respectively, though they would become playable characters via a time release when enough gameplay hours have been accumulated. Another example of a game that does this is Sonic Riders, where characters E10000 Green and Red can only be unlocked by playing a total of 20 and 50 hours respectively. But who actually has the time for that, really? In the PS1 version, Cloud, Tifa, and even Sephiroth are available right from the start, with Yuffie Kisaragi, Vincent Valentine, and even Zack Fair as unlockables in the game, though Zack is just a head swap of Cloud, much like Ken Masters being a head swap of Ryu, before each became unique in their own way in Street Fighter II Turbo and beyond. Cloud and Zack have their Buster Swords, which slowly drains their special meter, and by holding the special button, they can perform their limit break, Meteor Rain. So can Sephiroth, though in his case, he has to do so in a sheet stance, and he's the hardest character to master. Tifa is very fun to play as, given her quick speed, her version of the Hadouken, and she can perform a 1-2 kick to somersault technique. It's fun playing with the Final Fantasy VII characters, though I'll go as far by saying that in my opinion, that out of the 17 characters, Tifa is the most overpowered, with God Hand coming in second. The graphics look really nice for PS1 standards, but there are some graphical nuances from that of the arcade. First, there's the character mugshots. The arcade version has a Namco feel to it, whereas the console version has a Square-Enix style art direction. Missing from the arcade version is the CG opening of entering the Tokyo Dome, setting up your first fight against Dasher Inaba, but the PlayStation 1 version just says now loading, and then your match with Inaba starts. Another example I found is the stage details. Notice that in the Tokyo Dome stage, the background has actual moving audiences, but the PlayStation 1 version only has a static background. But these graphical differences are nothing to lose sleep over, just as long as the gameplay is fluid. The soundtrack can first give an adrenaline rush, begin with the Tokyo Dome, until you reach Hong Kong where things would sound slightly mellow, but once you reach Sasuke and onwards, the beats would become rockin' once more. In any fighting game, this is one soundtrack worth listening to. You go through each of the 8 Ehrgeiz fighters until you reach the boss of the game, Django. If you meet certain requirements, before reaching and winning against Sasuke, you'll be able to fight against Cloud and Tifa, complete with kick-butt versions of the Final Fantasy VII battle theme and menu theme, and then you fight against Django. But it's not over yet, somewhat, because then you'll fight Django's second form, while the credits are rolling, rendering your HP meter to become invisible. Django's second form only has 2 HP, and the only way to defeat it is you first ram the 2 glass crates onto him, each revealing a sword. Then you pick up each sword and throw each of them at him. Once you succeed, Django explodes and items will appear for you to collect, including a human leg, which I will get to in a second. Then the Holy Sword, Ehrgeiz, appears before you to pick up, ending the game. You might wonder what the human leg have anything to do with this game. You see, the backstory of Han Daehan is that while filming his latest movie, since his occupation is an actor, a black miasma mysteriously appears before him and engulfed around his right leg and disappears. And retrieving both the leg from Django and the Ehrgeiz while playing as Han will net him his good ending, since he's the only character with 2 different endings. Besides the main game, there are also 4 mini-games to play, each giving instructions before starting them. The first is Infinity Battle, which is basically your typical survival battle, but with a twist. Aside from gaining HP post-battle, each perfect match will also increase your maximum HP. The second minigame is Battle Runner, where you race around a track of your choice, but you can also beat your opponent until they temporarily lose consciousness, allowing yourself for an easy win. The third minigame is Battle Beach, where you're racing a 100-meter dash, racing for the flag, and jumping over hurdles. The last minigame is Battle Panel, loosely based on the game Reverse Eye. Not much I can say about this mode because I myself never played Reverse Eye. These minigames are actually quite entertaining, but only for a short burst. But if you do enjoy them, well, more power to you. The final mode is a quest mode called The Forsaken Dungeon, starring 2 protagonists. Koji Masuda, Yoko's estranged father who won the Ehrgeiz tournament 3 times in a row, now an archaeologist seeking an artifact said to have immortality, and Claire Andrews, Koji's protege itching for a good expedition. This mode is a dungeon crawler where you fight against monsters in a random layout generating dungeon, collecting weapons, armor, and cash, and leveling up your characters. The reason why I say random layout generating dungeon is because you can't expect the same layout to be in every playthrough. Keep in mind that each time you change a character, you'll have to re-equip your stuff, as fighting with bare fists alone hardly does any damage unless you equip actual fighting gloves, and both characters do not share the same level. When you're outside of a dungeon, you can visit shops to purchase food to prevent hunger and HP loss, buy weapons, get magic stones to use materia, yes, the very same materia from Final Fantasy VII, or visit a blacksmith to repair or enhance your weapons. It's important to keep the latter statement in mind because every weapon is not durable and overusing them will eventually cause your weapon to break, leaving yourself defenseless unless you equip something new. And it's only when you're not fighting monsters that you can pause your game and save. Although I do find the method of saving in this mode to be stupid because it actually costs money to save. So you'll find yourself grinding for experience against weaker monsters until you feel confident enough to descend deeper in the dungeon, and selling items that you don't need for more cash. Or using a dragon wing to bail yourself out of a situation, returning you to the hub world and leaving some items to your reserved character inside the inn, just in case one character bites the dust. Repetitive as this mode may be, it's a fun little distraction when you want to take a break from the ring.
Overall, Ehrgeiz God Bless the Ring is one solid fighter that shouldn't be missed. It's really awesome to see the main game and the quest mode, as well as the minigames themselves, packed in into one disc. It's a shame, however, that it never showed up on the PlayStation Network in the US, but Japan sure did. So if you're able to find a copy on either a flea market or a pawn shop, do yourself a favor, buy the game and don't sell it. It's very awesome to play this game with friends, especially with the zaniness of the Final Fantasy VII characters make it worthwhile. This game is so ambitious for its time that even the word Ehrgeiz means ambition in German. With that said, my final rating for this game, it's gonna be an 8 out of 10 for me. Well, this wraps up the first episode of the Musashi X Chronicles, so what other games will I venture to next? Well, the sky's the limit, they say. So until then, this has been Musashi X. I bid you all farewell, and take care.